Okay, hello, welcome everyone. I see we do have one attendee in the actual webinar. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Caroline Campbell and I am the marketing manager of IGI Global. I know we also have Nancy here on the line as well. Nancy, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to you before we hop in.
Thank you, everybody who is joining us this afternoon. My name is Nancy Kirkpatrick, and I'm the new-ish Executive Director of OhioNET. And as you may or may not know, OhioNET is often contacted by vendors or publishers who want to work with us on new initiatives and opportunities to benefit our member libraries. So this is one such opportunity. We are happy to be hosting this webinar with IGI Global, and they've got some ideas about how you can maximize your library budget and provide OA funding for your institution through the use of their services. So I'm going to turn it over to them, but I'll stay around in case you have questions directly for me about OhioNET or the presentation at the end. And I think that's it.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. And I just wanted to thank Nancy, obviously for coordinating this and also everyone else who has signed up for this webinar as well. I know I already introduced myself, but like I said, my name is Caroline Campbell and I'm the marketing manager at IGI Global. I also have here Melissa Wagner, who is our managing editor of acquisitions. So she's going to do a little bit of a deep dive of the content. And then at the very end, we're actually bringing in our senior director of marketing and sales, which he will engage with us during the Q&A session. So as I said, this webinar will be recorded. We'll also make sure that this presentation is available to you. We will have a live Q&A session at the end as well. So as we go along, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in utilizing the chat box at the bottom, and then we'll go ahead and answer those at the very end. But I'm just going to go ahead and just hop right in then. So starting off, like Nancy said, we are from IGI Global. Probably the majority of you know us, whether you know us as our company or actually as our imprints. But just to give you a little bit of history about us, so we are an international academic publisher located in Hershey, Pennsylvania. So right next door, obviously, to Ohio and where they make all of the chocolate. We were founded in 1988, actually by an academician, Dr. Mehdi Khazarpour. And he was a professor at Penn State. So as we go along and as you start looking at our content, that's something that really kind of showcases how we're a little bit different. We really are rooted within the research community. From there, you can kind of see up on the screen here a little bit of a timeline. So we unveiled our Emphasize databases in early 2000s, actually ahead of a lot of other publishers with their e-platforms. We've been constantly expanding our content coverage, which Melissa will get into a little bit later. And then we announced our OA initiative once again, and I'll go into that a little bit later as well. So a lot of times, as an academic publisher, we get asked what ultimately makes us different. So what makes us different from our competitors, Elsevier, Wiley, Springer, Sage, etc. And these are ultimately the 4 points. Like I said, because we were founded by an academician, we're really focused on that research community. So our overall mission is to give aspiring researchers the opportunity to share their research with the world, but then also to disseminate that research as widely as possible. We're looking at it more from, we want that continual advancement of research and also of technology. With that being said, everything that we do is quality-centric. So we are full members of the Committee on Publication Ethics. All of our publications are double-blind peer-reviewed. However, with that, we do use technological processes that enabled us to actually, produce books within, 7 to 8 months from the contracting phase all the way up to the distribution phase. So we are utilizing technology to kind of expedite that publishing process while still keeping it quality to make sure that the research community has access to the latest findings. So what you'll see is that we're very forward-thinking. Coupled with that, we're ahead of the industry as well. We are a medium-sized publisher. Everything we do is, minus actually printing the physical books, is done in-house. We have a little bit over 50 members of our staff. And with that, we're really able to see what's happening in the industry and adapt to that. We're also really able to provide those customized solutions then for the library community as well. And we have a lot more flexibility than a lot of other publishers. And I'll get into one of those kind of innovative solutions a little bit later on in the presentation. Lastly, all of this kind of coupled together with forward thinking and ahead of the industry, we're really able to offer pioneering product offerings, whether that's through our research, whether that's through our library solutions. And with that, we do publish reference books, also scholarly journals. They're available in print and electronic format. And then we do have our aggregate databases as well. And the two all will overview is our Emphasized books and Emphasized journals. With that as well, all of our publications are actually featured in major indices. This is always a question we always get, but we will see our reference books and scholarly journals in Web of Science, Scopus, EI Compendex, etc. And with that, the real meat of the presentation, what I'm really excited about is I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Melissa, kind of go down through some of our content areas.
Yeah, so as Caroline had mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, my name is Melissa Wagner. I'm the managing editor of acquisitions here at IGI Global. So I deal with all of the content, whether it's books or journals that are being proposed or whether we are actively seeking new trending topics that we see, and we're always working far ahead. So I'm constantly getting my years wrong because to me, I'm in 2021 already. So also, as I go down through each of our subjects and some of the topics and content that we feature in each of those, if you would like to utilize the chat feature and ask about any specific topics that you would be interested in acquiring or you would be interested in more research on, I can address those further towards the end of the presentation. I would also like to encourage you to let us know about any topics that you would like to see research on, or even if you would like to publish your own book, you can always let me know as well. I'd be happy to work with you on getting the proposal started. But I'm not going to go into much detail about our editorial process unless somebody was interested in publishing or just wanted to have some more information about it. And then on each of these slides coming up, you will see that there are some books displayed. The books that are displayed on the slides, they each have contributions or were led by academicians and researchers from universities in Ohio, including Ohio State, Ohio University, Ohio Northern, Cleveland State, University of Cincinnati, Kent State, Youngstown State, University of Toledo, and so on. All right, so we can get started with the business and management subject. So our titles that we cover, we're covering successful applications and future directions of different organizational management and planning objectives in a multitude of different industries. And they are geared towards organizations and professionals and cover like all aspects of business. So that means, you know, human resources, accounting and finance, entrepreneurship, management science, organizational behavior, marketing, and so on. In this subject, we do have over 1,540 plus books and over 30 journals. Business and management is one of our actual largest subjects. And some of our newer content has actually been focused on the different like disruptive technologies. I mean, like the fourth industrial revolution. So all of the new business automation, business intelligence, and then also looking into multi-generational workforces. As I'm sure you've seen in your own workplace, you know, there are now 4 generations all trying to work together. And sustainable business is also a huge content area for us at the moment. Moving on to computer science and information technology. So this subject really focuses in on widely trending topics that can include cloud and fog computing and really all of the computational sciences, artificial intelligence, of course, and intelligent systems, the Internet of Things, big data, robotics, and it does place a strong emphasis on troubleshooting, quality control, and agility. So right now we do have over 1,875 books and over 50 journals. This subject was our largest traditionally, and it continues to remain one of the largest subjects that we have. We also have seen a lot of movement recently in this subject area with cognitive informatics, cyber physical systems, deep learning, disruptive technology again, and machine learning and natural language processing. Moving on to education. So again, once again, this is one of our larger subjects and it continuously grows year after year. Right now we offer over 1,085 reference books and over 10 journals. And in education, we present research for better teaching and learning experiences in both classroom and online settings. Some of our major topics in this subject include educational administration and leadership, educational technologies, instructional design and curriculum development, learning assessment and measurement, and STEM education. And we have also seen a shift in the subject with many prominent researchers currently really pushing the multicultural instruction agenda, which is all the equity, accessibility, and diversity in learning and in the classroom. And also we're seeing more on school violence and school safety in the past few months, and that's due to the current discussions on school shootings and cyber bullying. On to environmental, agricultural, and physical sciences. So this subject has your typical environmental science and agricultural technologies topics, which include waste management, water resource management, climate change, and sustainability. Also, though, we've been publishing more on food safety and security, GIS and geospatial technologies, smart cities. I'm not sure if anybody has had the chance to try the Impossible Whopper yet, but we are also looking more towards content on lab-grown products and plant-based meats. And also in this subject is one of our more iconic books that was originally published back in 2015 that was actually on sustainable meat consumption. And environment and agriculture, currently we have over 345 books and over 5 journals. So it's smaller, but it's actually one of the subjects that we are constantly expanding upon, and we're seeing a lot of engagement in this one right now. This subject is where you will find all the political science, law, e-government, open government, corruption, civic engagement, surveillance and monitoring, and so on. This is one of our smaller subjects. We have over 580 books, and over 5 journals currently in this subject. And due to the current political climate, we've also started publishing more on misinformation and propaganda, and also social media use in politics. So now we'll actually move on to library and information science. And in this subject, we have over 600 books and 10 journals. We do publish content that advances library services and processes with a focus on funding, community, and faculty engagement, knowledge management, information retrieval, so on. But here we are also branching out to include more about libraries' roles in disaster management and preparation, smart spaces, space reclamation, and digital transformation. We've even actually had some requests for more on violence and drug use in libraries, so we are trying to expand in that direction. And then on to media and communications. In this subject, we do feature over 895 books and 15 journals. Now, traditionally, our media subject focused a bit more on wireless networks and digital media, social media, networking, telecommunications. But recently, we are kind of revamping this subject a little bit, and the newer content does include more on journalism, media bias, media representation, and of course, all of the fake news type topics. And our medical, healthcare, and life sciences subject area, so we have over 455 books and 15 journals. Medical subject covers a range of applicable content that goes from medical diagnosis to healthcare administration and information systems to ethics, and we publish across a variety of health disciplines, which include psychiatry, pharmacology, dentistry, and nutrition, and so on. And some of the more recent topics in this subject include wearable technology. We're expanding into reproductive health, geriatric care, which is especially big in Asia right now, genetic testing, and genome sequencing. And on to science and engineering. So in this subject area, we have over 635 books and 10 journals. Now, traditionally, this topic was actually our engineering subject, and we did expand it recently to include science. And that was so that we could have some more of the physics, chemistry, and mathematics focused titles. But here you're also going to find all of the engineering disciplines, not limited to mechanical, industrial, electrical, civil, petroleum and gas, materials, and aviation. And here also you have additive manufacturing or 3D printing, unmanned aerial vehicles, which are also known as drones, and all of the autonomous things like the self-driving cars. Going on to security and forensics. So traditionally the subject focused a bit more on the digital side of security, which still is a major topic as more of our information is becoming digitized. So you'll see a lot about cybercrime, cyber warfare, cyber terrorism, information security and privacy, and so on. But also we have been making sure to include more content on more of like the physical security. So police science, national and homeland security, drug trafficking, hate crimes, so on and so forth. I also want to mention that in this subject, we do have an encyclopedia that will be coming out later this year, and that's going to be on criminal activities and the deep web. And we're actually really excited about this encyclopedia. And finally, our last subject is social sciences and humanities. So this one, we have over 1,170 reference books and over 15 journals. This used to be just social sciences. We did expand over into humanities. And so that's encompassing more of the religious studies, philosophy, anthropology, archaeology, and my personal background of history and museums. But you'll also find psychology here and topics on drug abuse, addictions, ethnic conflict, gender and diversity, racial equity, LGBTQ studies, immigration, and so on. One other thing I would like to point out about our subjects is that the books that are contained within our subjects are, in most cases, actually cross-disciplinary in some way. So topics like drones could be spread throughout our subjects depending on what type of research it entails. For example, drones could be used in disaster scenarios and classified under government, or for agricultural applications and be under environmental science, or we could be discussing how to improve certain components, which would be engineering. So I'd just like to wrap up this content section with just a list of some of the more exciting forthcoming content that we've actively been seeking and we will be publishing continuing in 2020 and 2021. This is by no means a comprehensive list. It's just some of the ones that we see more and more proposals coming through, more and more researchers telling us that they want these topics and that they want to be publishing on these topics. And I'm sure you recognize a lot of these. I mean, they are pretty huge right now. You have, the circular economy in business, cryptography and cyber physical systems in computer science, more of the fintech, which is all the financial technologies. As I had mentioned during education, the inclusivity, diversity, accessibility remains pretty large in education, and we're seeing that transition over into social justice in education and social emotional learning. Obviously, Internet of Things remains huge, and we're seeing all the spin-offs, the industrial Internet of Things, the Internet of Everything, and how that ties over into environmental. So you're seeing more of the precision agriculture and the smart farming. So, feel free to keep looking through here. I can always talk about or further expand upon any of the topics. And if you're wondering what titles we have in specific topics, we're always happy to provide you with a list of those books and journals. Also, I would like to reiterate that we are publishing to serve the academic community. So if there's content that you can't find that your faculty or yourselves need, please let us know. We do collaborate with authors and editors every day, and we can work with them to ensure that those gaps in the research are filled. So if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to address them at the end of the presentation. But for now, I'm going to turn this back over to Caroline.
Just like Melissa discussed about, we really do publish for the academic community. Also, one of our favorite things to do, because my department does a lot of the library collaboration side of things, is actually talk to librarians, see what ultimately they need as well, where the gaps and where the holes are. We've been in meetings before, phone calls, and they let us know, oh, Caroline, we need more information on, women in IT. And then we actually came out with, a lot more of that content. So definitely, if you have any feedback as well, we're, constantly kind of putting our ear to the ground and listening to what the academic community wants. With that being said, one thing that I did want to hop into as well is talking about something that we're doing that's a little bit different than the rest of the industry. I know everyone knows what open access is. We see the news lines, the headlines every single day about new models, new publishing initiatives. But I kind of wanted to go into what we're doing. And believe it or not, we actually announced this before all these mandates happened. So before Plan S, before Project Deal, we were kind of able to project kind of this almost industry shift that was happening before it actually happened. So just to let you know, what it's called is IGI Global's Open Access Fee Waiver Read and Publish Initiative. So you might be asking exactly what is this? So essentially, like I said, all of our publications are available in print and electronic, also on our aggregate databases, which breaks down into our InfoSci books and then our InfoSci journals database. Essentially, when an institution invests in one of those databases or the subset of those databases, what we'll do is we'll actually match the library's investment with a equal fund to go towards subsidizing the open access article processing charges for their student, faculty, and staff. And now you might be asking, great, that's wonderful. A lot of publishers have different read and publish models. One thing that we actually do is that we'll give you 100% subsidies. So we're going to do that equal fund to make sure that you're able to support, ultimately your institution in publishing open access, not only to get the research out there, but then also having that it being backed by a quality publisher. So just to kind of go a little bit more granularly, believe it or not, it's as easy as 4 simple steps. Step 1, your library invests in one of our databases. We'll match that investment to go towards the OA APCs. When a faculty member or a staff member submits a paper and it's accepted, obviously bearing in that it does have to be submitted and accepted after the peer review process. That author will have the option to publish it whether they want to go traditional or open access. Step 3, it's ultimately up to the author who will choose which avenue they want to go on. More often than not, when authors hear that this program is available, they will go under our open access. And if they do decide to do that, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take the APC charge out of that fund. And for IGI Global, our APC fund is around $1,500. And then lastly, step 4 is kind of more of the details of it, but essentially what we'll do is this fund will be offered on an annual basis. So when you actually renew on a yearly basis, we'll renew that. So it will not transition from year over year. Also, another thing to mention as well, with this fund being available to your institution, we ultimately let it up to you on how you would like it to be managed. Normally what we'll do is IGI Global will manage it, handle taking out the APCs, invoicing, all that, etc., that part of it. But we've actually had conversations with a lot of librarians where they actually want to manage it. So they might say, okay, cool, I want to do this. I'm seeing that, for instance, our social sciences and humanities departments aren't getting as much support as they need for open access funding. So I really want it to go towards this area. So we will also collaborate with the librarian to manage the fund. So what you'll see is that the ultimate benefits of IGI Global's OA fee waiver initiative is that it maximizes your library's investment and supports open access. Like I said, it goes back to the fact that, at IGI Global, we want this research to be shared. But then going right into the next point here is that it offers and provides a sustainable solution to open access. I'm sure you have read a lot of articles, you've heard a lot of publishers kind of talk about this. Ultimately, publishing research costs money. So, whether it's technological, to keep all of the technological processes in place that we currently have, having, the staff members, myself, Melissa, managing everything, making sure everything, is up to code. But what you're seeing is that it almost provides and offsets that cost and provides that sustainability. So we're able to still keep the doors open. We're able to make sure that the research is credible, being peer reviewed. But then at the same time, we're not taking that double dipping mentality. We want to give that investment right back into your institution, right back to your researchers for open access. Third point, it increases the availability of peer-reviewed research out there. So obviously open access, it's available to anybody. And like I said, it also allows IGI Global to maintain our ethical publishing and support OA in a way that we're able and feasible to. Also, with that being said, something else that we've seen kind of take off from this is that it also increases the librarian researcher collaboration within institutions. And it's also a wonderful way for you as librarians to actually market your content to the researchers, get them in your doors, start those conversations, and then also looking at some of the library services as well. So we've had instances where, librarians will come back to us and ask us for, promotional materials to hand out to their researchers to kind of get the ball rolling. We've done spin-off presentations, whether that's publishing workshops and everything. So you're almost seeing that this initiative is really bringing, the three parties in play within the academic community, that being the publishers, the librarians, and the researchers. And this is something too that we really came up with because we were hearing librarians, constantly talk about these big deals that are happening. And then we're hearing from the researcher side how hard it is sometimes for them to publish in open access, but then also afford to be able to publish into open access. So like I said, this is kind of the sustainable solution that we were able to come up with. And it was enacted before Plan S. And overall, we've heard only positive things about this. So to go a little bit more into exactly that first step of investing in our InfoSci databases, I just wanted to do a quick overview of what our databases are and the content. So starting off, InfoSci Books, just like it sounds, it hosts all of our reference book content, so all of the publications that were shown on those slides, also all of our other content as well. With that being said, and I know Nancy kind of forwarded us on this on the question, we have very, very simple, transparent pricing as well. So what you'll see is for this collection, the average cost per book as a part of the collection breaks down actually to $12. And obviously, like Melissa said, all of our content is peer reviewed. You're getting also some top institutions. We are an international academic publisher, so we do make sure that it is an international focus. So we have Harvard University, MIT, University of Cambridge. We have some of the elite institutions actually over in Asia and Europe, in Australia, etc. This also does break down to on the subject level as well. So if you're one of those institutions, you have a new program that's being enacted, you want more focused content, we do have 11 of our different subject databases. And what you said, what Melissa said earlier as well, is that a lot of our content is cross-disciplinary. So within these, you will get a nice mix of things that actually have to do specifically with business and management across multiple subjects. And then last but not least, we do also have our book disciplines. So these are looking at, we have 4 of them. These are looking at that cross-disciplinary and actually combining them as well. So we have business administration and management, communication, social sciences and healthcare, library science, information science and education, and then science, engineering, and information technology. And for this, it's going to break down to around $6 per publication. Moving then over into our journals. So our InfoSci journals database, this has all 185 plus scholarly journals. Included in this as well is our Web of Science Citation Index and Social Sciences Citation Indexed journals as well. Currently we have, I know in SCI, we have around 6 with impact factors. So you will be getting this along with the InfoSci journals. Overall, same thing, you know, it's containing that international perspective, and this is going to break down to around $28 per journal, which I know is a lot of feedback that we get right now is that journal subscriptions and journal budgets are shrinking. So if you guys have any questions about the pricing, like I said, it's actually all available on our website. And then obviously, if we do work with OhioNET, we have different kind of models that we're able to really tailor towards, you know, ultimately what their members need, and there will be discounts that are associated with that. And then once again, so we do have our e-journal collections, and this breaks down a little bit more granularly than our subject areas. So you can see some of those hot topics: artificial intelligence and smart computing, communications and online engagement and media. Also, we have even InfoSci operations, logistics, performance assessment, etc. And then last but not least, we do have our journal disciplines as well. So just like any other platform, you know, we do have our key features, which include no embargo of content. The research is available months in advance of the print release, free MARC records, Counter 5 usage reports, full text PDF and HTML format, etc. And what you'll see based on kind of that open access model that we were talking about a little bit earlier, and then also just our content areas, you know, that Melissa was talking about, it being really, really emerging, is that our databases, our content is actually being utilized worldwide. So here you can see that we have some of the most prestigious institutions from different countries. Also, we're working with consortia worldwide as well. Here in the United States, obviously, we're working with the Carolina Consortium. We have CALL, which is over in Australia, Register, which is one of the largest consortiums in the UK, and then ZBW. And the thing that we get a lot is that a lot of consortia like working with us because we are so flexible. So we ultimately, and I'm really excited about this presentation because we want your feedback as members. We want your feedback on our content areas. We want your feedback on, you know, the pricing models and the different products that we have involved. And like I said, we're really focused on providing those customized solutions. So you might be thinking, great, that's wonderful, you have international collaborations, but just to kind of focus on Ohio right now, we actually do have over 1,400 researchers from Ohio institutions that have published in our reference books. That includes, like Melissa said earlier, Kent State, University of Cincinnati, Cleveland State University. Also, we have 560, researchers from Ohio institutions that contributed to our journal content as well. And, you know, after this presentation, if you're interested in seeing if any of your researchers have contributed, you know, we'd be more than happy to provide you those lists as well. So definitely feel free to reach out to Nancy, feel free to reach out to myself, Melissa. All of our contact information will be on the last slide if you're interested. And then within Ohio, and one of the main reasons we definitely wanted to start this discussion, we already have around 25 institutions that are actively acquiring IGI Global's research content. Obviously, like I said, we want to expand that. And that's why we're here today. So then lastly, we are very ingrained in the academic community. We go to pretty much all of the major conferences, whether that's within the United States and then also, you know, abroad. So if you're attending any of these conferences, you see our logo. Normally it's our senior director of marketing and sales who is out there at these, you know, definitely flag us down, say hello. We'd love to have that discussion with you. Also, that being said, you know, we are offering as well professional development opportunities for librarians, talking about obviously like I said, we like collaborating with librarians, and that's pretty much shown through, we have a column in Against the Grain, which I'm sure all of you pretty much are aware of. They manage also the Charleston conference. We have a webinar series. So outside of obviously these formalized presentations, we're looking at presentations around LIS and then obviously our library information sciences. Just to kind of also put names to faces, we did also unveil our international representatives. And then I do have, as I said earlier, Nick Newcomer here, who's the Senior Director of Marketing and Sales for the Open Q&A. So with that, we're going to go ahead and just hop into, did anybody have any questions around whether our content or open access initiative? So the one question I know that Nancy actually pinged us with was around our pricing structures. And I know I briefly went into it, but even looking at the consortia level of things, so we are highly flexible, as I said earlier. Ultimately, whether that's group purchase, single institution purchasing, we're also willing to work with the institutions, dig into your holdings. So your library holdings of IGI Global will give you 100% credit into one of our larger databases. So you are able to take advantage of the open access initiative. Also, we have been working to, as well on the consortia level, with EBA models. Okay, and then if we don't have any other questions, we'll definitely feel free to reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to do a follow-up piece, whether that's an email, correspondence, or even a piece for the overall group. I did also put everyone's contact information, Nancy, Nick, and Melissa. If you have any questions regarding the content or any of our models or pricing structures, feel free to reach out to them. And then lastly, here's also where you're able to dig a little bit deeper into some of our processes, some of the things that we talked about, whether you kind of want to see what that expedited publishing process is. I did also include our publishing process. But with that, I just wanted to thank everyone for their time. Thank you, Nancy, for coordinating this again. And like I said, a recording will be available after the presentation, and we look forward to starting a collaboration.
Thanks, you guys. It was my pleasure. And I hope if you guys do have questions that you reach out directly.
All right. Thank you.